So welcome guys. So I thought I would show you guys how to change the ABS ring. And that's because I tried to figure out what was the ABS problem on this car, because I cannot use the error code reader on it. So I'm gonna try to do it in a more old school fashion. So I've been working on the front, so I've raised the front of the car, so I will try to figure out. I pulled out the sensors to check them if they were any bad. I couldn't see this one being any more used than the other one. The other one had much more dirt on it, and I think I will try. I have a spare one that I will change on the right side, because the right side is a bit dirty. And I think I will try to see if that's a problem. But I figured out as well, you can see I was working on the ABS ring. I was trying to clean it off. It has the, how you call it, a sprocket or a gear, as you can see there. And the teeth on it, I noticed two of them were pretty much uneven or bad. So I'm considering to change it out just to see if it will help anything. And it's a pretty simple process to do that as well. So I'm gonna remove the top bolt here. Before I do that, I will release this one, so the axle will be freedom to go up above. And when you take this bolt out, you will actually be able to lean it out. This whole thing will kind of lend itself out, and so you can push the axle out in this way, and you can get it here, and you can work on it. And I'm going to try to change the ABS ring on this side, and I will show you how it's done. So I'm gonna start trying to pick it apart now. So I got it loose, 30mm here, and you get the shaft out there, so it gets loose. Then I pulled the first one. I had to get this one a bit open for this to be able to bend, because it was so tight against it, so I couldn't rub it at first. So I ended up losing the second bolt now, and I was able to pull it out. You have to bend it really hard backwards, and you should get it out, but be careful when dealing with this type of axle, because if I remember right, this axle is pretty much the same, in that sense that this one does not have a lock ring on it. It does not have a lock ring. The inner joint doesn't have a lock ring on it. So if it would get too far out, the balls inside the joint that keeps it from spinning, keeping it stable enough, will actually drop out. I don't know why they designed it that way. I know in the older axles on the Volvos they don't have it. But if you just don't try to pull it, yank it out, because that won't help you. Try to keep as even as you can. You can bend this as much as you want. You don't really have to worry. So you don't need to remove the brake caliper. You can do it if you want to. This is not real that stressed on it, so I'm not worried that I will get any marks or anything on the brake line. But you can remove it if you want to. It will make it easier, but I decided not to. So I'm gonna go ahead and I will just cut out a piece here. You can almost make out how thick it is, but this is very rusted and corroded, so maybe I should have changed the joint as well, but I've decided not to. I'm gonna try to fix the ABS and see if this helps. This is pretty uneven worn, but the ABS, I couldn't feel anything wrong with it. So I'm going to try to change it out, and I can do it here. So I will remove this, and then I will put back on a new one and see if that fits. So I'll be back. So I tried getting it out with just using the flat screwdriver, but it was still too stuck, kind of rusted on, so no surprise there. So I made a cut about here, and I made it as shallow as I could, but still keeping the ring on, because once it gets too thin, you should be able to just jack your screwdriver between that ridge that you just cut. Also, I used my Dremel, so a small cutting wheel. Worked very nice. You could use anything else, I suppose, but it's kind of tight spot, so I would recommend something in similar to that to be able to get it off. There's different ways, but then you get it inside here and you twist it as hard as you can, because when the gorge is so deep, you get the flat drive to stick there, and you just bend with some hand power, and it just should, just like this one, pop off very easily, so shouldn't be a problem. So now I'll try to clean out as best as I can around there and put on the new ring, which I got here. So this is new ring. Let's do a comparison. Now you won't know if the numbers are even or not, but since it's broken, but there's quite some difference in the size of those rings, or tabs, or whatever you call them. So this should work nicely. So I'll clean it up. So I put on the new ring. I cleaned it with sandpaper. I went all around the surface where the old ring has been. I put some grease on it. It's a special kind of grease. Use it on locks and the lock boxes. It should just be fine, just to help it glide in a bit better. It's also used for ring gears, but make sure that you don't put grease so it gets on this, because if the grease gets on the outside here, and when the car is turning, you may end up getting grease on the sensor. So try to avoid using too much, just so you get an even nice surface. And so don't use the regular hammer, because it can easily damage the rings or the cogs. And if it's damaged the cogs, you may as well just stop it. I used a wooden block to help me get it pressed in. Once you get it started on one side, you evenly have to move around. You can twist the axle around. Don't try to yank it, just round, maybe a little bit in as you do it, and you will get it turning. So both sides are up. So don't try to do it with only one side, because you will have some tension on it, so it will be harder to move it around. And don't try to twist only this thing. So now it's on, so I'm gonna put it back in the hole again, and I'm gonna secure everything again, so it should be nice. Also, I know it's standing on the brake line, but don't worry, I'm not that worried. If I have to change it, I will change it, but just don't do as me. Put it somewhere here. Maybe place something under here. You can place the jack just over here, and you can let it rest. I just did this by holding it up, so it's pretty much safe from any unwanted damage on anything else. So I will put this back on, and I will put this back on, and then I will change the other sensor on the other side, and we'll see how it goes. But that's how you change it. So if there's any questions, just hear off, because it was easy to remove this. This didn't take a very long time. I maybe spent a total of 30 minutes outside. I jacked the car up earlier, so maybe a bit more, but it's easy process. Also, I put out the sensors and everything, so yeah. Peace out.